I'm Danny Dyer, and this is the Real Football Factories International.
I played Tommy Johnson in the film The Football Factory, which was all about football violence.
Fucking nutters.
Then I travelled the UK and met the real football firms. Now, I'm going international. 9 countries in 2 months. Around the hooligan world in 60 days. A whole new level of football violence. We'll be in riots. We'll get tear gassed, chased, and even shot at. It's going to be quite a trip.
This week I'm in a country that straddles 2 continents. It's a crossroads between East and West, between the old and the new. It's famous for its bazaars, hubbly-bubbly pipes and kebabs. It has a growing football reputation on the pitch and a fierce one off it. I'm talking about Turkey.
This is a country whose culture is so strongly based on honour that people are prepared to kill to defend it.
2 guys can fight over anything, and sometimes, knives start talking.
While the fanaticism of Turkish fans can be exciting, it can also be terrifying. I'll be meeting the Galatasaray firm who are at the centre of the infamous battle where 2 Leeds fans died. And I'll experience the most explosive derby in Europe, Fenerbahce versus Galatasaray.
Turkey's the gateway to the Middle East. It's separated by the Bosphorus Straits, with half the country in Europe and the rest in Asia. I start my journey here in Istanbul. Now, the city's also divided by the Straits. Now, we're in one of the hotbeds of world football. The supporters are fanatical. When that passion boils over, the results can be deadly. Welcome to hell.
I'd been hearing a lot about Turkey's fanatical supporters. Now I was in Istanbul. I wanted to find out more about this country and why they had such a reputation for violence.
80% of the Turkish public is living below the poverty line. And when there's poverty, the violence occurs.
The violence is also mixed with a widespread knife culture in Turkey.
There's really a knife culture in it because it's the easily available weapon, and a lot of young people carry knives around.
Now this is different for me. I'm in the Middle East. Iraq and Iran are only next door. It looks both east and west for its culture. Islam is important, but football is the real religion in Turkey. When it comes to the beautiful game, it's all about raw passion. Fenerbahce and Galatasaray are the 2 biggest teams in Turkey. Both clubs are based in Istanbul, but football divides this city.
It don't matter who you know, 'cause this is real life, real life, real life.
The Bosphorus Straits separates these teams, with Galatasaray on the European side and Fenerbahce based on the Asian side of the city. The Fenerbahce-Galatasaray rivalry is the deepest in Turkey. Galatasaray is based around the Taksim Square district. Their team was built out of the elite high school. Think of it as the club started by toffs from Eton. Fenerbahce, on the other hand, see themselves as the people's club. In the First World War, their forefathers ran guns for fighters against us, the British. Whereas Galatasaray used to be the wealthier club because of their European success, poor investment has led to near bankruptcy. New money at Fenerbahce means they have now become the richer of the 2 clubs.
So I'm at Fenerbahce Stadium. I'm here to meet Paul Okan, Now, he made a film about Fenerbahce. His old man used to play for him, yeah? Not only that, his old man played against Bobby Moore. You having that? That's pretty special. Now, he's going to give me a bit of a tour. You know, he's going to tell me what to expect on Derby Day tomorrow. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. All the countries I've been to, when I was told about this job, Turkey was the one that I was most worried about. I don't know why. A lot of stigma attached to it. Maybe it's got something to do with the Leeds fans that got stabbed. I don't know. Let's go and find out, see what he's got to say.
Paul spent a year filming with the Fenerbahce supporters when they won the Turkish Championship in 2005, so he understands the passion of these fans.
Paul, thank you for talking to me. I appreciate this.
No problem.
First of all, could you just tell me about football culture in Turkey?
Well, football is more than a culture in Turkey. It's life itself. Because, you know, life is pretty tough in Turkey. People work hard, they don't make enough money, they don't feel in control. But when they go to the stadium, it's their own turf, and they can actually affect the outcome.
What do you think it's going to be like for me on match day? Is it going to be a big experience for me? I mean, I'm quite excited about it. I know there's not many derbies that match this.
You never know what's going to happen because a lot will depend on the results. If Fenerbahce starts losing, then violence can break out no matter what. Like last year when Galatasaray came to the Fenerbahce area, they came with knives. Some of them came with knives, and then one guy came with a gun. And he was caught by the fans and almost beaten to death.
The firms call themselves fanatical supporter groups. They do not have organised fights like UK hooligans. I was going to be at the derby with the firm called KFY. I thought I'd better ask Paul if he knew anything about them.
This is basically a group called Kill For You. They have violent passion, which can turn into violence.
I've got to say, you know, this was the one place when I was told about this show that I was a bit worried about. Now, probably because of the two Brits that were stabbed. Is it fair? Is it a fair thing for me to say that, you know, because of that the Brits maybe feel that there's this rivalry between Turkey and England?
What happened was, you know, when the British moon each other, that was considered as a huge insult.
Okay.
And the fans actually went there and stabbed them.
The two Leeds fans were not even involved in the mooning when they were killed. As I said, I was a bit worried about coming to Turkey, and Paul hadn't made me feel any different. When English fans come to Turkey, there can be a real clash of cultures. After the break, we find out how this proved fatal for two Leeds supporters.
Welcome back to International Football Factories. This week I'm in Turkey.
I'm in Istanbul, immersing myself in Turkish culture. I'm going to the fierce Fenerbahce Galatasaray derby tomorrow, and I'm going with the Fenerbahce firm called Kill For You. They're fond of their flares, and they're up for a ruck with the police. I'm on my way to meet them to see if they'll tell me more about the rivalry and the way things are done in Turkey. Two of their firm have agreed to meet me at a secret location. These guys are part of a highly organised and closed group.
Telefonumu kapıyorum.
Don't be fooled by the clean-cut look and suit. This firm have a brutal passion that's right up there. This is the first time that any of these guys have spoken to the media. We began by talking about their enemies, Galatasaray.
Of course, we hate Galatasaray. But I'm gonna talk personally. My love for Fenerbahce is much stronger than my hate for Galatasaray. But of course, we hate Galatasaray. It's one of the biggest derbies in the world, my opinion, and they're our biggest rival.
The rivalry is so strong. Even their friends who support Galatasaray become targets on Derby Day.
Well, 10 years ago, I had friends from my university, and we were, good friends. They were Galatasaray fans, and I could see them perfectly because they would split the stadium into two halves, and I could just see them perfectly, my friends, and I lit one of those flares, and I threw it exactly on my friends. I could have burnt them, they could have lost an eye. I didn't think about it at the time. So during those times, there's no oxygen, going into your brain.
This is the violence that happens between friends, but some of the past battles between these rivals have been like all-out war.
From night to morning, you can fight with Galatasaray fan, also police. It was,
Non-stop action.
and many people injured, maybe died.
Their biggest battles have been with Galatasaray, but they often fight against the police.
This season, two big fight in our area. The police used the gas and the joke.
Pepper spray. If you're gonna go to away game, then
The police,
90% you might get a stick or pepper spray. We are very used to pepper spray now. It's like breath mint now.
Breath mints. I think I'll stick to polos. These guys seem to have no fear, so I asked them about the injuries they've got.
Well, I have some injuries. Of course, stones on the head. It's always a nice story here in Turkish terraces. In 2001, against Samsunspor, it was our championship game, and people were throwing stones at us. One of them pulled up the sink, the big china, and it broke on my head, and I had to have stitches. But so many people were injured from both sides. When it was my turn to get stitches, the guy at the ambulance said, "We're sorry, sir. There's no more stitches, no more needles left to stitch you up." So I had to watch the game like that, with my head half open. We watched the game. We became the champions, and I came back to Istanbul like that. I had stitches, and then I went back celebrating.
Volkan was injured when he tried to confront the ex-Liverpool player Graham Souness, who used to be the manager of Galatasaray.
in 1996, the Sunus came our stadium and to
He planted the flag.
flag.
Souness had been insulted by Fenerbahce, so when Galatasaray beat Fenerbahce, Souness planted the Galatasaray flag in the centre of the pitch, which enraged the Fenerbahce fans.
I tried to run the flag, but suddenly the big police dog hit me, man.
Yeah, he beat you.
Then after beat me, I shouted. I was angry. The police and the 10 police came and shot me by job at the same time.
Souness misjudged the passion of the fans and actually endangered his life.
It was a very stupid thing to do. And what was he thinking, really? And he really, really had to run for his life.
And we
believe
love
me.
Sunis. We want to see him anywhere,
Yeah.
especially in Fenerbahçe.
Definitely. I want to see him again, too.
Because he made a big mistake.
Souness left Galatasaray that season, but Fenerbahce fans wanted revenge for the flag planting incident.
2 years later, or 4 years later, one guy is a crazy guy in Fenerbahçe, guys. We say Rambo.
His nickname is Rambo.
He's crazy. Definitely crazy. He's a report from the doctor.
Yeah.
Allah belamı versin sana. Allah haricinde kimse gelse tutamaz beni.
Rambo is a hero to the Fenerbahce fans. Like them, he found Souness's actions hard to take. So on the eve of their opening game of the season, he broke into Galatasaray's stadium. He hid in the advertising hoardings armed with a Fenerbahce flag and a large kebab knife.
And the moment it was kickoff time, he cuts it open with his knife. He runs towards the stadium. And it was the opening game of Galatasaray, so it was 25,000 fans. He scares off the Galatasaray players with a knife. He plants the flag. And he didn't let anybody come near the flag because he had a knife.
Rambo shows how the Turkish passion for football can be all-consuming.
Ona göre sesleniyorum yani tüm Fenerbahçe düşmanı olan kişiler sesleniyorum. Akıllarına başlarına devşirsinler. Akıllı olsunlar, mermi manyağı yaparım, başka da bir şey yapmam yani. Alamursa Kral Fenerbahçe.
You don't want to mix some of the most passionate fans in world football with knives. It's not a good idea.
Well, knife culture is in the Turkish culture. It doesn't have to be in football. Two guys can fight over anything, and sometimes, you know, knives start talking.
The Fener boys opened my eyes to the deadly mix of knives and revenge. Most British teams and fans get a hostile reception when they come to Turkey. There's been a bit of history between us. The troubles go back to 1993 when Man United played Galatasaray. Over 170 English fans were arrested and deported before the game even started. Trouble flared on the pitch after Cantona lashed out at a Turkish player. This is the Chelsea team welcome when they came to play Galatasaray in 1999. But the worst event was in April 2000, when Leeds and Galatasaray fans clashed here in Istanbul. This can be a dangerous place for English fans, and if you don't know the customs in Turkey, it could cost you your life. I'm going to the area of the bloody clash between Brits and Galatasaray. I'm in the heart of Galatasaray territory, and I'm heading for Taksim Square.
This square represents two faces of Turkish football. First, the growing reputation of Turkish football standards, but also the increasing violent reputation of the fans. So it was here that when Turkey reached the 2002 World Cup semi-finals, everyone came to celebrate, watch the match on big screens. It was also here. Two Leeds fans were stabbed to death in 2000.
I'm in the area where the two Leeds fans were killed on the day before their team were due to play a UEFA Cup semi-final match against Galatasaray. Christopher Loftus and Kevin Spate met their deaths here outside McDonald's. The two men were innocent fans, not hooligans. They just had the terrible misfortune to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. There'd been scuffles earlier in the day. Turks claimed that drunken Leeds fans were being rowdy and mooning passers-by. But the worst trouble flared here. Leeds fans leaving this pub were attacked with iron bars, hatchets and knives. Christopher and Kevin got caught up in this carnage. Christopher Loftus was stabbed in the heart and lay dying in the street. It was reported that the Turkish police were slow to help the victims and seemed more interested in making arrests. The police then bundled Chris into a police car off to hospital, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Kevin Spate was also stabbed. Ambulances couldn't get to him, so the police put him into a taxi. He later died in the operating theatre. Several other Brits were stabbed, and many spoke of being hunted down by packs of Galatasaray fans. The Turkish police were blamed for not using force to prevent the incident getting out of hand. They were also criticised for not cooperating with the British police spotters who were there. It was said that the Turkish police were more worried about receiving negative media coverage than policing the fans. These horrific events left 2 Leeds fans dead and 5 others seriously injured. Despite this, The planned match still went ahead amid high tension and maximum security. Leeds accused the Turks of showing a lack of respect. There was no official 1-minute silence for the victims. The Leeds supporters and players held their own. However, a brief message of condolence was read out by Galatasaray, condemning acts of violence and offering their sympathies. Leeds fans boarded waiting coaches as soon as the match was over, and both sets of supporters taunted each other. Some Leeds fans defaced banknotes with the founding father of Turkey on them. This is a highly offensive and illegal act in Turkey. Their coach was driven through streets lined with Galatasaray supporters. And there were ugly scenes at the airport as they boarded their flight home. The bodies of the two fans who were killed were flown back days later. It must have been an absolutely terrifying experience on that night. Turkey is a very nationalistic country where the culture is based on pride and honour. If you insult people, they reply tenfold. While some Turks thought that provocation was no excuse for the killing of the Leeds fans, many of the public thought they got what they deserved.
It's really disappointing for me to say that when those stabbings happened, all the Leeds players, not everyone was filled with sorrow and disappointment. I remember headlines as if to say, you know, you deserved it.
These events happened while Turkey was pushing for entry into the EU, but people questioned whether this Muslim country could ever become part of Europe. In the UK, some thought that this event and reaction showed that Turkey put more value on their customs than human life. Ali Umit Demir was convicted for killing both Leeds fans. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. His conviction was quashed on appeal. However, new evidence has come to light and a retrial has been ordered, which is currently ongoing with a hearing scheduled for May 2007. In the UK, there was a huge anti-Turkey campaign and the media called for Galatasaray fans and their team to be banned from European football. But Galatasaray were allowed to continue in the competition and beat Arsenal in the final. There were more riots and 4 fans were stabbed. A sense of injustice had been paralleled with a sense of hate, and the feud between English and Turkish fans was further inflamed. Now tomorrow, I'll be walking into this feud when I come face to face with the Galatasaray firm. The early call to prayer in Turkey means you don't need an alarm clock to get you up in the morning. Welcome back to my journey into the world of Turkish football hooligans. It's the morning of the derby, the clash between Fenerbahce and Galatasaray. But before I go to the game, I'm going to meet the notorious Galatasaray firm. They're infamous for making their stadium like hell for opposing teams. Now I've got to go to their manor to see if they'll talk to me. I'm a bit wary of this one because of the hatred between Galatasaray and English fans, especially after the stabbing of the Leeds supporters. Turkish fans don't pay homage to UK hooligans, and I'm not sure they know me from the football factory.
I'm now outside Galatasaray Stadium. Here they are. They're all wrapped round me. I feel a bit didgy, a bit nervous. I'm meeting a fella called Alpaslan. He's probably the top boy at Galatasaray. I've been told I've got to wait somewhere. He's going to come and meet me, which isn't usually how we do this.
I'm an outlaw. Quick on the draw. Something you never seen before. And I dare a motherfucker that come in my face. I got something wrong.
Welcome.
How are you, brother? Pleasure. Thank you. Looks like a bit of a lump, this geezer, I must say.
More of the boys started to arrive, and things were getting lively. Then they said they wanted to take me around the back streets to where more of the firm were waiting. I asked Alpaslan if he thought it would kick off at the match today.
Ama buna engel olmaya çalışanlar olursa da elbette ki biz orada daha güçlü olacağımızı düşünüyorum. Çünkü buradan giden 2500 kişi tam bir asker.
Galatasaray only got about 2,000 tickets for today's match, but people have come miles to be at this crucial game.
Çeşitli şehirlerden gelen arkadaşlarımız var. İngiltere'den gelen arkadaşlarımız var. Gördünüz işte biraz önce.
The Ultraslan brand has become so successful, they've sold more tops than the club has sold team shirts.
Şimdi orada biraz bir farklılık oldu. Biz Ultraslan'ı zaten marka olsun diye kurmadık ama Büyük Galatasaray taraftarının teveccühüyle Ultraslan bir marka oldu.
The football club are 150 million in debt. In 2003, Galatasaray fans donated £3 million to the club, and they gave them the Ultraslan trademark. By doing this, the hooligans saved the club from bankruptcy.
Ultraslan ürünleri satıldı ve milyonlarca dolar para kazandı kulübümüz.
It was nearing the end of the interview, so I felt I should ask Alpaslan what had triggered the Leeds incident.
Ama nedense bu Leedsliler buraya geldiğinde bir terbiyesizlik yaptılar. Bayrağımıza hakaret ettiler.
It said they not only moonied, but they also wiped their backsides on the flag. In this highly nationalist country, the flag is seen as sacred. Although neither of the victims were involved in this incident, this was the main reason given for the attacks that led to their deaths.
Bunlara müdahale ediyorlar ve maalesef bu facia meydana geliyor. Olmasını hiç istemezdik. Çok üzüldük. Ama oldu, yapacak da bir şey yok artık. Eller havaya, eller havaya.
Alpaslan and his top men had to leave. I was about to chat to some of the guys who had come from England, but things were about to turn nasty.
We love Galatasaray. We do anything.
While most of the Galatasaray firm had been welcoming, some were not happy that we were there. We were deep in their territory without Alpaslan and his boys for protection. We had outstayed our welcome, and it was time to leave.
So look, we've got to get away from this plot now. We're now on the European side of Turkey. We've got to get over the other side to Fenerbahce, you know what I mean? It's a proper mission. The old bill have turned up. It's all getting a bit digi. People throwing things at us and all that, you know what I mean?
Lucky we got out of there when we did. Minutes after we left, an off-duty copper was attacked by Galatasaray fans and stabbed in the leg. His crime? Wearing a Fenerbahce shirt. This is why it's so dangerous to get caught on the wrong side of the city. Now we were heading over to the Fenerbahce side to see what was waiting for us there. We're heading off to Fenerbahce Stadium, where we'll be watching a match with Fenerbahce's firm. The game is not for a few hours, but things will be heating up already. We have to race across the city for the pre-match build-up. The Gala fans also start to jump into taxis. They're heading to the stadium, where the police and Fenerbahce fans will be waiting. The Fener fans are out in force and are about to descend on the stadium.
Right, here I am. Couple of hours till kick-off, and I tell you what, the atmosphere's electric, honestly. You know, I feel there's a more party atmosphere with Fenerbahce. I mean, Galatasaray, and I don't want to be one-sided in any of these shows, but, you know, Galatasaray, for me, a bit more aggression. I'm glad that the game's at Fenerbahce. Galatasaray, I was on knife's edge.
There was a party atmosphere to begin with, but the tension was rising as more Galatasaray turned up in cabs. Police held back the Fenerbahce fans, who were now on a bridge chanting down at the Galatasaray fans.
Well, I'm going to slip off, go and meet a few of the boys in their bar. You know, they're going to look after me, they're going to take me in the ground. You know, I need someone to look after me here because it's such a mad derby, this. You know, of all the derbies I've been to, this one is, like, intense, let me tell you now. So, you know, I'm going to go and touch base with them, just have a few beers, get chilled out. They're savage.
The Fenerbahce Kill For You firm were plotted up in a bar just around the corner from the stadium. I wasn't sure what kind of reception I was going to get, or even if they would trust me to come to the game with them.
What we got here?
Welcome to Kill For You.
Kill for you, do you know
Yeah, sweet as. Thank you. Thank you.
I guess this means they accepted me,
Sweet as, thank you so much.
and they topped off my welcome with a few drinks.
Sweet, brother. Fenerbahce.
Sorry.
Great hosts.
Galatasaray, Galatasaray'ymış bütün olanlar. Göklerde yıldızmış, gönüllerde ay. Ananı sikeceğiz Galatasaray.
She's one of the top birds.
After a few drinks, my mind turned to the game.
Security here is very, very high. All the coins you've got to take out of your pocket. I've even had to leave my house keys. House keys? You know, because they will throw anything at these games. Now, we may have a bit of trouble filming it. So, microphone has to come off. The likelihood is it's not going to happen. You know, we're going to see what we can do. Hopefully I can bring you coverage of the Fenerbahce Galatasaray match. Believe you me, it's going to be electric.
I could feel the intensity of the crowd as I approached the stadium.
The feeling, I'm not even in the crowd yet. It's amazing. Powerful. I've got to say, my hairs are standing up on the back of my neck.
The queues to get in are massive, but people step aside as the boys bring us down to the front. We finally get into the stadium, but I'm having trouble finding my seat. The Galatasaray fans are in the section next to us. They're covered by netting to protect them from objects being thrown by the Fenerbahce firm, but it does not stop the taunts from Kill For You raining down on them. Volkan is one of the top boys of Kill For You, so he organises the unveiling of the main banner in our section. This is an age-old tradition in Turkey, which involves the whole stand, including me.
I'm in a tent. I'm on to some bad. So happy, man, you won't believe it.
This is amazing, and the game hasn't even started yet. Things are really hotting up with minutes to go before the game, and there is no respite for the Galatasaray fans. The game gets underway, and it feels like the stadium is shaking. Things go from crazy to mayhem when Fenerbahce score an early goal. Every time Galatasaray get the ball, the Fenerbahce fans whistle to intimidate them. The Galatasaray fans respond by ripping up seats. Then Fenerbahce extend their lead. The guy in front of me literally surfs the crowd. The goal sparked more violence from the Galatasaray fans, and at half-time, they clashed with the police.
Over there, I'll tell you what. Back to the rule, I'm not the Galatasaray end. They've got the raving up 2-0 down. They've got to be mad.
The second half begins. Fenerbahce supporters can't get to Galatasaray, who are ripping up their stadium. So some of the fans behind the goal begin to pelt the Galatasaray keeper.
Throwing things in the keeper. Not keys, coins, fireworks. Now they might jeopardise the game. There's no need to 2-0 up. This is just like another world.
Galatasaray get a goal back in the second half, but Fenerbahce managed to win the game 2-1. Police pushed Fenerbahce supporters away from the Galatasaray section. They managed to keep both sets of fans apart. Kill For You chant their last songs at Galatasaray. For another 10 minutes before we leave the stadium.
Now, I don't know whether it's just me or every game I go seems to get more and more intense, and there's no word of a lie. That one is just like I've never in my life witnessed, every time the opposition gets the ball, there's this whistle, there's this loud whistle. You look around, not men, there's kids, there's women. I mean, it's intense. It's like, you know, if there ever was a 12th man, this is the country.
In part 4, we'll look at some of the other firms across Turkey who have become almost unstoppable. the morning after going to the biggest derby in Turkey. It's one of the maddest games I've ever experienced. I've now had a taste of the passion of Turkish football. People have told me things are similar all over the country, even in the lower leagues. They told me about a place called Izmir. This westernised port city is better known for its holiday resorts, but it's also home to two lower league sides who are fierce rivals. Both of these are on opposite sides of a bay, Karşıyaka on one side and Göztepe on the other. Göztepe's firm is called Yali. This is them preparing to travel to an away game against Aliaga Belediyespor.
Got this feeling in my head.
This is the first time the police come with us. They're really scared or it's really dangerous. They worry about us, yeah.
Although Göztepe are playing another team, they'll have to travel through Karşıyaka to get to the ground. The surrounding roads are closed and the Göztepe bus is flanked by an armoured police vehicle. This young firm are considered to be such a threat that the 4 coaches of fans are escorted by 4 coachloads of police and an armoured car. And when they get to the game, you can see why. Could you imagine away support like this for Accrington Stanley? Göztepe are losing 3-1 and things get heated when one of the opposing players taunts the Göztepe fans after his team score again. The police are quick to pull out the pepper spray. The game is lost and the firm are ready to leave. The trouble is diffused and the police are waiting to escort them home. The relationship with the firms and the teams is more direct in the lower leagues. Respect and power is everything. Göztepe's main rivals are Karşıyaka. This is their firm, called Şarşa. The last time Karşıyaka and Göztepe clashed, it was pure hate.
It's like Bloody Sunday.
One man was stabbed to death, another 50 were injured.
Everybody drinks, get their knives, and if you see yellow and red, you attack them.
The leaders of the firm are godfather-like figures in Karşıyaka.
They protect us from the cops, they protect us from the opposite team. It's not about a respect to your mother or your father. I don't listen my mom or dad, but I listen my leaders.
The firm's respect extends onto the pitch. One of the firm's leaders brings the team over to applaud the fans. When you see this loyalty and the power it gives people in their lives, you can see how hard it is to stop them.
They are giving us power, you know? It's like a great general in a war.
I've come to the end of my journey and I've seen the two sides of Turkish football culture. I've experienced the hospitality of the firms and I've seen the fierce, intense passion that can end in death. If you come to Turkey, it's best to know their customs. Like us, the Turkish are extremely proud of their country and their football, which they would defend to the last.
There are maybe 3 people that, if they say stop, will stop. Nor police, nor army could stop us, but they can stop. You know, that's the difference.
I realise that it will be very difficult to get rid of the violence because you can't take the passion out of the people.
More than a nation, more than a religion, it's the blood in our veins. It's the most important one thing in our lives.
It's a different world, isn't it? Well, the most important thing in my life is checking out exclusive webisodes at bravo.co.uk. After the break, David Baddiel reckons that football's gone soft.